Good afternoon. We had to wait a little bit longer just to get some chairs, wait on a few other people, but I think there was something special in that. I think it was a great time to look at the slideshow of all the memories of Will, and I think it was a good time just to be here in this building, where Will spent a lot of his time just reminiscing. I don't know what you guys were doing, but I was just thinking about memories of Will and all the times we shared here in this exact space, from Greek week and all those great times. So I think that was kind of cool in a way. Good afternoon. Welcome to the celebration of life and sharing of memories of Will Krueger. If you don't know me, my name is Jason Mormon, and I was one of Will's many, many, many best friends. I want to say thank you to everyone who made Will who he was, to his family, to his friends. I want to say thank you to Wright State. This place had a huge impact on his life and who he was as a wonderful gentleman. Thank you to everyone who helped set this up. Again, Wright State, family. There's so many people I'm forgetting. Gina, Gary, Jeremy, everyone, if I'm forgetting you, I apologize. But thank you for setting this up in celebration of Will. Will would have wanted no other place for all of his friends, all of his family members to gather to celebrate him. There's something truly special about this place. There was something truly special about Will. And today is a day that will be filled with many, many emotions. Sad, happy, smiles, tears. But again, Will would want no other place for all of his friends and all of his family members to come together to celebrate him. I encourage you today to share your memories. It's going to be hard, but Will would want you to do so. I've been spending the last week talking to friends, some who on my part I haven't spoke to in a really long time. It was great talking about Will, sharing his memories. There were tears, but there were smiles. And if you knew Will from one interaction, or if you were his best friend, you knew that there wasn't a time you spent with him where you weren't having a good time. He always knew what to say. He always knew what to do, or he knew where to be. And I encourage you to share those memories in honor of him, because today we honor Will. We share his legacy and the impact he had on each and every person in this room. Today is going to have a specific flow to it, and it'll start with some videos that we have set ready to go and some words from his family members as well. There'll be a few other speakers, but after that, we'll open the floor for you guys to come up and share your stories. Again, I encourage you to do so. It will be hard, but if you need help, I'll be here. I want to go ahead and play the first video. And this video is for you just to hear Will's voice again. I know every time I heard it, I felt a sense of comfort, and it'll be good.
So, my name is Will Krueger. I am your host and MC for today's event. I am so excited. I've been waiting all week for this to come. So, first of all, I'd like to say, for those of you who have been to RadarCon before, welcome back. We're excited to have you again. For those of you who might be your first RadarCon, I'd just like to say welcome to our RadarCon family. We hope you have a great day and hope to see you again next year. So I want to remind everybody why we're here. But before I do that, just hang with me here. Let's take a deep breath. Ready? In and out. There goes all your problems for the week, all your worries, all that empty gas tank, college student stuff, all gone. Today's Rate-a-thon. So, a lot of people may have even asked before you signed up, what is Rate-a-thon? Or why are we here? And I'm going to answer that question. So why are we here? I'm going to say, why do we dance? So we dance because I want you to think way back to your childhood. One of the things when you're really little, adults love to ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And we've all said things like astronaut, firefighter, zookeeper, circus, all sorts of things. And also if somebody sat you down, maybe it was your mom, your dad, uncle, and told you that you could be anything you want to be when you grow up. Anything. And it pains me to say, but with our miracle children that are here today, they reached a point in their lives where they didn't even choose to believe in that anymore. That was taken away from them. But thanks to you guys and Rate-a-thon and dance marathons like it around the country, we are able to give that dream back, to give that hope back, to give families their children back. So keep that in mind. These kids will now have the opportunity that we've all maybe taken for granted to come to college, to have a future, to be that astronaut, to be the science teacher, whatever they want. So thank you guys for coming today. I'm sorry that's a little somber, right? But I really appreciate each and every one of you, and I know the families do too. So one more time, let's give it up for Rate-a-thon 2015.
That right there is Will. That's Will. He cared more about you than he did himself. He would do anything for you. We got another video here.
Welcome to Rate-a-thon 2015. Thanks to you guys and Rate-a-thon and dance marathons like it around the country, these kids will now have the opportunity that we've all maybe taken for granted to come to college, to have a future, to be that astronaut, to be the science teacher, whatever they want.
Every day, someone's waiting on a miracle. But today, we're not waiting. We are dancing to make miracles happen. It's only 15 hours. When you think about it, some of our Miracle Kids battles last months, years, or even a lifetime.
So we're just fundraising and raising money for Dayton Children's Hospital and dancing for the kids that can't.
It's harder for me to learn things like tying my shoes or riding my bike, but that does not make those things impossible. So today, as you get more and more tired of dancing and you want to sit down or go home, remember, you can do it.
They have a passion for helping people. They have a passion for dancing for the kids. I think that we all see that us being here raises hope for these children, and I think that everybody wants to, be a part of that. It's a beautiful thing. It's an amazing event. So I think everybody just has that passion to be here. This is the third year that we've done this, and the first year that we did it, I absolutely fell in love with it. I think that everybody's just here because they love the event, they love what it does, and they love seeing the impact that we have on the families at Dayton Children's.
All of you, no matter how much money we end up raising, have worked so hard, and that hard work definitely pays off. By participating in Rate-a-thon, you are working to make Dayton Children's Hospital better and better.
It's amazing, and I talked to different faculty members at Wright State, and the one thing they say is that they are so amazed at how passionate the students are for Rate-a-thon.
I really appreciate each and every one of you. I know the families do too. So one more time, let's give it up for Rate-a-thon 2015.
Whew. those two videos were a part of an event called Raiderthon. If you've never heard of it, it's a dance marathon that Wright State puts on here, and Will was the MC for it for multiple years. His impact on others through that was remarkable, and there was no better person for it. Throughout the week, I've had a few messages, and one message that really came to me and hit me pretty hard was shared with me. One of the mothers reached out after hearing the news and expressed her words of what Will's impact was on them. And it was truly amazing, and it was the same feeling that you all probably have when you met Will, right? It's the same. His impact on you was just amazing. So around the room, there are tables. Over here on the flower table is also a sign. And on that sign, in lieu of flowers, we have a link to donate, and to donate to Raiderthon, something he cared very deeply and very passionate about. So on the tables, there's a QR code you can just scan. There's also a link going around on social media as well that you are more than welcome and to donate to. If you're unable to find that, please feel free to reach out, or if those links, something happens, we'll be more than happy to help you. Next, we're gonna hear some words from the family, and the first person that's going to come up is Will's brother. Will's brother, Drew, he gave the second best hugs right behind Will, but truly an awesome guy. I was lucky enough to meet him several times, and he has that same sparkle, that same wonderfulness in his eye that Will has as well. So without further ado, I'd like to invite up Drew.
Classic Will fashion, getting everybody in one room like this. I know there's plenty of faces in this crowd that I don't know, but I'm sure you all know me. Sorry, I gotta watch my language here. I would just like to take a moment to acknowledge Will and Will's life and his accomplishments, and the fact that there are this many people that he truly touched. So I would like it if you would all join me in a round of applause for my brother. Will rarely ever used the word friend. Isn't that funny? All of us in here would consider ourselves Will's friend. But Will would consider you his family. He often used words when describing some of his best friends and even his co-workers, his bosses. I was amazed the relationship Will had with people who, above his age group and out in the successful world, and they all found a way to be not just a mentor to Will, but a friend. And the people that were close with him, all of you know how much you meant to him. And the way, if any of you have heard Will talk about me, he talks about his friends in the same way. Utter admiration. Every single one of you in this room is a brother, a sister, and part of Will's family. So like Jason said, I encourage you to come up and share today for those who are willing and would like to. We would love to hear the stories. And, you know, we all, not one person in this room got all of Will because he touched all of us, and I think that's a very powerful thing. The fact that you could all be here today, I'm very grateful for. So thank you.
Next, I would like to invite up Bill, Will's dad.
Like Drew said, wow, look at all the people here. I want to thank you all for coming. Of course, I knew Will as his dad, and I knew he was a pretty good guy, pretty great guy, actually. This is testimony to that greatness. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. So I've got a little story, so I'm going to kick off the story time, I suppose. I remember the day Will was born. It was almost like yesterday. I worked in a restaurant, was closing up for the night, getting ready to walk out. The phone rings, and it's my mother-in-law saying, Cheryl's in labor, and she's got back pain. And I said, well, call the doctor, I'm on my way, I'll be there in 5 minutes. And I was. And she's walking around. Remember that? I do, I felt bad how much pain you were in. And then, we got in the car and headed to the hospital. Short 5-minute drive. Every pothole. Every pothole. I'm sorry. So we get to the hospital. Cheryl's checked in, and they're doing the things they're supposed to do with her, and I'm there with her, breathe, 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 like you're supposed to. And turns out Will was born, or was going to be born, face up. So his skull was rubbing on her tailbone, causing the back pain. What we found out is that face up they call sunny side up. How prophetic, right? I mean, what a way for him to start life and then carry that through in everything he did. What a sunny disposition he had. As Drew said, he didn't meet enemies or strangers. He was always generous with his time, willing to help, going out of his way. As Drew mentioned on his Facebook page, there's lots of posts, by some of the folks here, I'm sure, all of them saying how much Will would just drop whatever he was doing on a moment's notice and be there. Somebody losing a job and he's there with pizza and beer, or somebody needing to chat, so he'd go get a coffee. So, again, what a sunny disposition. So, again, thank you all for being here. My one request is to carry that sunniness that we'll share with all of us with you going forward. Thank you.
Next, I would like to invite up Katie, Will's girlfriend.
Hi. Many of you know me, but for those of you that don't, I'm Katie and I'm Will's girlfriend. Please bear with me because finding the words to do Will justice is impossible, as I'm sure you all know. Will was a light to everyone that he met. and he was a huge part of his community and a huge part of his Wright State community in particular. I was extremely blessed to have a special kind of connection with Will. In truth, he was everything that I had ever asked for. He was, I mean, you all know how wonderful Will was. Will gave me confidence and support in everything, and that includes right now, because I would not be able to get up here and speak in front of this many people if it wasn't for him. Will lived every single day to the absolute fullest, and he helped me do the same. That's not in my nature. That's not like me, but he helped me not take everything so seriously. I was so lucky to have had the opportunity to start to build a life with him, even for the short amount of time that we had. He gave me a whole new perspective on life. His unbridled positivity was infectious, even though it admittedly annoyed me sometimes. He was the only one I've ever known to be able to break my poker face every single time. He was the most generous person you could meet. He would do anything for anybody, and in fact, I don't think he ever told me no. The memories I have of Will are not only the big things, not only the big party or event or the epic trip, though we did share plenty of those as well, from weddings to trips to Chicago, Miami, and Atlanta. The memories I hold dearest are the smallest things. I remember lazy Sundays putting puzzles together, cleaning the apartment together, or Will getting jealous because my cat was getting more attention than him. The everyday, the most mundane of things are the things that I will carry with me, because he never made me do anything alone. Will was truly a partner in every sense. And even though the future that we had planned was cut short, I know that Will will always be with me in my heart. And I want to say thank you to everyone who's a friend to Will. He loved you all, every single one of you. And I just want to thank you all for everything that you've done for me as well. And I want to reiterate, Drew, and say that when the time comes, please come forward and share your memories of him. Thank you.
The next person to come up is Will's mom.
Will Krueger, 27 years ago, you were placed in my arms, a most wonderful gift. Then you grew to share your gifts with the world. A vibrant and successful young man you became. Your smile will forever remain etched in our memories. I will keep you with me, deep in my heart, always. Forever, my sweet angel, you will be. To everyone in this room, we are grateful for your presence. For those of you who may not know me, in addition to being the privilege of being Will's mom, Mrs. K, Mrs. Krueger, I'm a 28-year employee of Wright State University. I'm grateful to Wright State for the experience Will had here. I'm grateful to the faculty and staff who educated him. I am grateful to my coworkers and friends of 28 years who are holding on to me. My family is overwhelmed by the graciousness and the outpouring of support from the Wright State community and each and every one of you present here today. All about family, all about friends, all about people. That is Will Krueger. From the first time you met Will, he likely engaged you in genuine conversation. Will was all about introducing people, connecting people, and expanding the network of everyone around him. His grandparents, his aunts, uncles, cousins, people here today, you were his family. His girlfriend, his many, many, many friends, you were his family. His classmates, his teammates, his roommates, his road trip companions, you were his family. His fraternity brothers, his coworkers of every job, his professional colleagues of late, you were his family. This was Will's way. Drew Krueger, his brother, everyone who knew Will knows that you were and forever will be not only Will's brother, everyone knows that you were Will's best friend. To keep the legacy and memory of Will Krueger alive, live life to the fullest, chase your dreams, be kind to others, and keep the connections growing. Will Krueger, forever 27, vibrant forever, a light, a shining star, you are. You faced challenge with confidence. You were loved by so many. The legacy of your life and the way that you lived it will be carried on by the countless many that knew you, the countless many whose lives are forever changed because they knew you. The overwhelming amount of love and support we have each received this week because of our connection to Will has helped us just to begin the journey through this heartbreaking time. We will carry you in our memories, Will, my sweet, sweet angel. You are forever in our hearts. Love, Mom.
Something special about Wright State is the Greek life here on campus. It impacted my life, and it's impacted many people's life. When I first met Will, I joined a fraternity, Sigma Phi Epsilon. And when I met Will, I could already tell he'd fit right in. He embodied all the principles that we looked for in a brother. He ended up joining the fraternity I was in, Sigma Phi Epsilon. He became a triplet, a little, eventually a big, and to this day represents everything, anything and everything a brother meant to me. The next person I'd like to invite up is Jeremy Keller. He's the chapter counselor here at Wright State for SIGEP, and so yeah, Jeremy Keller.
Good afternoon, everybody. As Jason said, my name is Jeremy Keller, and I currently am serving as the chapter counselor and one of the primary advisors for the SIGEP chapter here at Wright State. Will joined SIGEP towards the tail end of my undergraduate experience here. So while I may not have been as close as many of the other brothers currently in attendance, and I may not have as fun of stories I have with Will as you may hear later today, I could tell when he joined he was going to have a lasting impact, not just within SIGEP, but at Wright State and in the world around him. I remember even when I came back for grad school here and Will would come into the office while I was working, and it just made my day that much better. I was always cheerful, always smiling. I'm pretty sure the only time I've ever seen a mean bone in Will's body is either during a swimming competition or a board game or something where healthy competition is okay. Other than that, I don't think Will made enemies here. I think Will was genuinely one of the brightest people and happiest people that I've had the privilege to work with and see at Wright State. Will went on to take on various leadership roles, both within chapter and Wright State as a whole. You heard about his work with Miracle Makers and Raiderthon. He served in student government for a time. He was the Interfraternity Council president, and he tried to help shape what fraternity life meant for those here on campus. Will forever be remembered both by Wright State, his family, and the brothers of Sigma Phi Epsilon. Like Jason said, I truly also believe that Will truly embodied our cardinal principles of virtue, diligence, and brotherly love. Virtuous in the way that he always was himself. He didn't try to hide it. When you met Will for the first time, you were seeing and meeting the genuine Will Krueger. Diligence. I can think of all the times he put work before play, and he was the one that if something needed to get done, and even if it wasn't his responsibility, he was one of the first to step up to make it that happen and make sure that thing went on with a success. And then finally, brotherly love. I can't think of a person that Will hasn't touched who has been left with a better memory of him. He, like everyone before me has said, he treats everyone as family. It's not, you're my friend, it's, you're my brother, you're my sister, you are my family. And I think for everyone being able to gather here today just shows that connection and that lasting impact that Will has now and is going to continue to have as we continue moving forward. With that said, Will, I'm one of the few that hasn't posted much on social media since I found out. But Will, you will forever be a bright spot in my time here at Wright State. We may not have as many memories as others have, but those that we have, I will cherish forever, and only hope to continue what I can to live out your legacy, both as my time as a professional, a member of the fraternity, and a human here at Wright State and on Earth. Thank you.
As many people have said, Will was a part of a lot of things here at Wright State. He was a part of the swim team. He was a tour guide. He was a part of Sigma Phi Epsilon. He was a part of Raiderthon. He was on the Dean's Council for Engineering, and he was a university president ambassador. He was smart, he was funny, he was a good friend. He was the perfect face for Wright State, for students coming as a tour guide. He was a great brother for freshmen coming in, joining the fraternity. He could help you in many different areas with brotherly love, academics, and he knew just about everything there is to everything. Around the room, there's a basket for cards, if you brought a card. There's the fundraiser QR code as well for Raiderthon. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to open the floor to people who wish to share their stories with Will. Again, this will be a time full of many emotions. You're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to laugh. You're allowed to tell fun stories. You're allowed to give hugs. For right now, we'll probably have one person come up at a time and go from there. I'm a pretty bad storyteller, but my history with Will, I met him his freshman year here at Wright State. From there, it was an instant connection. He taught me how to swim, or at least not drown. And then I taught him how to pick up some weights. From there, we hung out many, many times in Cimarron, as a lot of you may know. Then we moved in together, became roommates. Many of you have slept on our couch. And you're more than welcome to still do that. From there, we graduated, continued to hang out, and we never really spent a day apart in college. I'll cherish those memories forever. I'll cheer on the Bengals next week with you right there by my side. And I love you. I love you, man. If anybody would like to come up and share, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, probably not, but it's all good. Hi guys. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Brian Boos, and I was Will's big brother in Sigma Phi Epsilon. But not only that, Will was one of my greatest friends that I ever got a chance to know. Before I start my speech, I want to send all my love, prayers, and condolences to his family, as I know they're going through a difficult time like we all are. I'm going to try to get through this, but I don't think I'm going to, so here we go. The moment I got Will as my little, I was overjoyed because I knew I was getting someone so special. Once I got to know him a lot more, I found a lot of similar qualities that we had. I thought I had the biggest heart, but it doesn't even come close to his. He had the biggest heart out of everybody I've ever seen. He was what being a man was all about. As his big brother and being one of his older friends, I was supposed to be his role model, but quickly he became mine. The love and generosity he had for not only myself, but others was nothing short of wow. He would do anything for anybody, no matter what the situation was. He had so many wonderful memories together, whether it be golf, workouts, hangouts, breakfast, lunch, dinners, the late night quesadillas. It was all the best. One of my greatest memories was when he was by my side when I got married to my beautiful wife on my wedding day. I was so blessed to have him and all my guys up there on my special day, and I'm forever grateful for that. The love he had for his family, his girlfriend, friends, fraternity, and sorority life, and this university says so much about him. I know there was other organizations, what Jason said, that he was in. It just shows how passionate he was about everything here at Wright State and outside of Wright State. The hardest part for me was is 5 days before his passing, my wife and I saw him at the gym we work out at. I got to talk to him. I even got a high five and a hug, knowing that wasn't going to be my last. That was going to be my last hug I was going to have with him. I think God gave me a gift that day. He let me see him one last time. Every time I walk in there, I look over where I saw him last, knowing I'm going to have an angel on my shoulder for as long as I live. I hear his voice. I see his beautiful smile and kind heart, and I'm going to take that with me for the rest of my life. To Will. Will, stay classy in heaven. God, give him all the love that, like I know you will. Cheers to you, little brother. HFF, and in the words of my wife and Tony Stark, I love you 3,000. God bless.
If anybody else would like to come up, you're more than welcome to. Introduce yourself. I forgot to say that. Will knows you, but there might be some people that don't. So. Anybody's welcome.
There's a lot of people. For those of you who don't know, my name's Ryan Knapp, part of Sigma Phi Epsilon, one of Will's really, really close friends. We did a lot together, pretty much every single week. But it was the little things that he did that I feel like a lot of us remember. Just one thing specifically that he did was I was marrying my brother and his wife in Chicago, and I was very, very, very nervous to do it. Even though it was only about 15 people in attendance, it was something that that I didn't want to mess up, and he knew it meant a lot to me. And he called me the day of, and he was like, "Yo, you remember your lines, man? Just want to make sure you're good. I'm just checking in on you." And that's all he did. He checked in on every single person in this room. And he just wanted to make sure everybody was living the life that, you wanted to live. And he was there to support you every single way. So, I'll keep it short. I know a lot of people want to come up here and talk, but, thank you to Wright State. Thank you for everyone being here. Thank you to your family. Drew, you're awesome, man. Just thank you to everyone. I know he's up there looking down right now, telling everybody to just be happy for him. But we love you, brother. And yeah, we'll all try to live Will's way. So, thank you.
I do not know many of you, but I've seen your faces. On Will's social media accounts, a lot of you I have. I was surprised at how many of you would see when I came in the room that I recognized. I am Will's Aunt Janine, and I remember Will since he was this big. And he never thought he was going to be taller than me. And he was so excited the day he was a quarter of an inch taller than me. I'm not very tall. When Will was really little, I had an amazing opportunity to be able to spend time with my young son, Tad, who was just a year and a half younger than Will, and had the opportunity to stay home with my kid and babysit Will and my Drew. And it was amazing. Even as a little kid, he was just excited. We used to go grocery shopping sometimes, and I'd take him out because we were all together and we were all family, and everybody thought those three boys were triplets. Drew and Tad are the same age, like within weeks of each other, my poor mother. But he used to get so joyful in the store, and sometimes he would just drop and slide on his tummy like a little penguin. And I used to say, well, honey, get up here. We can be penguins at home. I'd give anything to see that again. Then he grew up into this really delightful young man. He was in Boy Scouts. He was part of his church. He was just something. It was something to watch the three of them grow up together. They had this amazing bond. And he would go everywhere since maybe 5th grade up. And when he introduced me, he always said, "This is my amazing Aunt Janine." And I had never really thought of myself as that amazing. But he continued to do that. If any of you were ever introduced to me, I am pretty sure that's how he introduced me. I'm not that amazing, but Will found that amazing part of me. Hearing the news that he had passed struck me so hard. And then I said, what would Will do? When my mom passed a year ago, Will reached out to me every day, said, anything you need, Aunt Janine, anything you need. And I got those hugs. I thought I was the only one he gave special hugs to. And now I'm a little jealous. I used to think that I was his third most favorite person in the world. But I think that might not be the case. Thank you so much for honoring him. His life was immensely
too short. I had so many other family occasions that I was looking forward to sitting right next to him because he always found a way to sit right next to me. I love you, Will. I love you all for being here. Thank you.
Hi everyone. My name is Ryan Short. I was originally going to prepare a speech for today, but I thought it'd just be better to not. I apologize in advance for rambling. I can do that when I have a lot to say, and definitely a lot of words. I think I wanted to start with one of my favorite memories of Will, which, if you know me, you know my family, we can be a little bit eccentric, I think. And a few years ago, I don't know if you remember, there was a big semi on 35 coming out of Xenia towards Dayton, and it was full of piglets. They had 2,500 piglets on, and the semi turned over on the bypass, and all the piglets ran away, like around Walmart area there. And my family had the crazy idea, we're going to build some pig houses, and out of straw, sticks, and bricks. And I remember inviting Will over to help me build these things, and I had a strict budget. I had $100. I went, bought everything I needed at Lowe's, and I built these stupid pig houses in the barn. And he came over because I said, we got to practice. We got to figure out the best time of day. We're going to do this. We're going to drop it off. I want it to be completely anonymous. And I don't want anybody to know that I did it. And we have a big enclosed trailer, like 30 feet long. So we hooked it up to the truck and practiced in the driveway. I wanted it under 60 seconds. So it was myself and Colin. This is back when I really didn't even know Colin very well. Will just brought him along like, hey, there's this crazy ass Wright Short. He's building some big houses. He'll put them along the highway. Why don't you come out? And so we practiced back and forth, in and out of the trailer, in and out of the trailer. Okay, we got it done. I even had freaking solar lights on these things. And my mom painted Napoleon on the mailbox of the brick house for Animal Farm. Figured it was appropriate. So we had it all set up with all the solar lights, and we did it in under 60 seconds, in and out. I remember getting in the trailer in Rural Kings parking lot in Xenia. We're all sitting there around the pig houses with 2 people on each house, and my dad's driving the truck, pull off on the side of the road, and unload these suckers and get them out. That was one of the most fun things. And now we've got the little ornaments hanging on the Christmas tree because my mom made miniatures like, yep, I'm always going to remember this. And that was such a fun, weird memory with Will. And that kind of started our just fun relationship of just doing weird hijinks, stupid stuff together. And I just really cherish that. And again, if you know me, my interests spread incredibly wide, very wide variety of things, as did Will's. From, honestly, woodworking to building to landscaping to home theaters to stereos to 3D printing, computers, anything in the world, I tend to dive in and get obsessed with. And Will was one of the few people, actually probably the only person that I can think of that was also, if you asked him a question, he had something to say. Not just he would make something up. It was, he had something valuable to bring to the table. Because he was so well read in so many things. He was obsessed with research like me. And every time that we'd get together, we'd talk about maybe a new documentary we watched, or maybe a new book we were reading, or podcast, or something that we were doing, and kind of bounce that off of each other. I'm gonna really miss that, because I love to debate. A lot of times my political views don't align with everyone else, and Will, again, was probably the only person that no matter what, he wouldn't get mad at you because you might held a different position. We generally viewed everything the same way, but he could flip a switch and do this devil advocate thing. Even if it was something he totally didn't agree with, he could bring on the persona of that other opinion, and we could debate it as if I was debating somebody else that held a different viewpoint. Just as like a practice, just to make me think, just to get the wheels spinning a little bit, in case that somebody else asked me, this same question. That was incredibly valuable to me. Again, like Brian said, I was lucky enough about a week before he passed. He'd been reaching out to want to hang out, and he came over, and we got to do just that for an entire evening, and sit around, make some old fashions, and just talk about life. And he's telling me all of his plans, and it's absolutely incredible. There's so many good memories, and so many things that I'm going to remember of him. And I really appreciate everyone being here today. Thank you.
Hey everybody, my name's Seth Kime. I got to know Will through Greek life here at Wright State, but also was one of the privileged few to be able to live with him, which had its challenges. To me, Will was a connector. He brought people together. Without having lived with him, I don't know that I would have met half of the people in this room. I think we all had a saying that even though we lived in the same place, it was my apartment, his apartment, Figley's apartment, it was come to Will's. And living with him, sometimes you'd hear come to Will's and you couldn't do anything but roll your eyes because there were so many people in your apartment when you walked in the door, you couldn't even get to the stairs. He came into my life at a time where it just seemed a little dark, and I was in desperate need of a light. And Will's light burned brighter than anyone I have ever met. I can't even quite remember where I met Will, because it was just one of those things where, you'd run into him, you'd start talking to him, and before long, he's inviting you along some crazy adventure, going God knows where, to who knows where's apartment, and before long, we would spend 36, 48 hours together at a time. Golfing, going to the lake, boating. Heck, the man couldn't even play golf without wearing Sperry's and 2 gloves because he was that much of a frat daddy. I loved Will dearly, as did everyone here, because to know Will was to love him, and it was for him to love you. That's just how he lived life. His heart on his sleeve, with the biggest hugs in the world, and the world's worst quesadillas, I swear to God. Never knew a man to throw so many spices on a tortilla with some shredded cheese at any time of night. He, in fashion with everyone else, became one of my brothers. I still can't quite believe that he's not here. but I know he's with all of us in our hearts and will always continue to do so. William, I love you, dude. Gonna miss you forever, but I'm extraordinarily grateful for the memories and the times that we got. And I'll never forget that.
Hello, I'm Tom Trainer. I'm the Dean of the Rochester College of Business, and I have a confession to make. I did not know Will, but the reason I'm up here at this podium is due to just how quickly I came to know Will indirectly just in the days since his passing. So I've never had anyone in my many years of having to share bad news with the community that makes up the College of Business here lead or generate as many very quick positive memories of him. And the underlying feature that I think really sets Will apart is how in very short order he could leave a lasting and extremely positive impression on people. Classmates who might have only had one or two interactions working with him on projects remembered him for years, and were able to share that. Faculty members from the College of Business who had Will while he was pursuing his MBA had very positive memories of him, even if their class was taught online. They remember how outgoing he was, how much of a natural leader he was, how he was willing to step aside if someone else wanted to take the lead, how quickly he was there to help other students, and what a positive factor he was in classes, and how much he made every class he was in a better class. So I think that's I think the main thing I want to share with you is how different he was from many hundreds or thousands of other students that we have come through our college. Secondly, I know Will indirectly through another person. My daughter Carly was a classmate of his at Oakwood High School. She was not particularly close to him, but she immediately shared many stories of his kindness. And to students at Oakwood who were not particularly close to him, he treated them very respectfully, very well. And her memories of him are just extremely positive, and she wanted everybody to know how sad she is that he has passed. And lastly, yet another person who knew Will that I know is Cheryl, who I work with here at Wright State. And I just want to express my deepest sympathy for you and for all of your family, because it's so clear that Will was an extraordinary individual and left us too soon. And so, yes, it's wonderful that everyone's here, and it's especially wonderful in my view how long his memory is going to last with everybody that he came in contact with. And again, I repeat, as many people as I come across, it's really important to try to pay forward what Will's presence has been in the world. And in a world where we don't need to be losing wonderful people before their time, to try to take that with you for as long as you can. So thank you for your time.
Hi everybody, my name is Lee, and I had the privilege of living across the street from the Krugers in high school. I can say without a doubt that you all moving in across the street was one of the best things to happen to me in high school, and it wasn't just because you always had the best snacks in your house. Mrs. Krueger, you referred to yourself as Mrs. Krueger and Mrs. K, but I knew you as Mom Krueger. All through high school, Will and Drew's friendship just meant the world to me. And I've been thinking about all the time I spent over at your house all week, and in my head I'm trying to figure out if I was genuinely over there every day, because that's what it feels like, or if those moments were just so impactful on me that, you know, I have this distorted memory. I remember a lot about Will, and I remember watching him fall asleep in class every day in high school. And please don't misunderstand, it was not because he was a slacker. I mean, if any of you can imagine, the idea of Will slacking on anything is absurd. But it turns out waking up for 5 a.m. swim practice every morning wears you out, so he did take quite a few naps in class. I remember walking home from high school every day, and Will and Drew pulling up next to me on the street. And there was not a day where Will did not roll down the window and enact like some absurd bit. You know, it was different every day. It ranged from, hello little girl, get in the car, I have candy, to just shouting at me, get in the car, and Drew sitting in the passenger seat, just like, oh my gosh. Here we go again. And honestly, what I remember most about Will was just how unwaveringly kind he was. I mean, all of you who knew him in his adult life, I can tell you that he was like that even as a teenager when, you know, I was not like that necessarily all the time. Our other really close friend, Olivia, and I used to hang out with Will all the time, and I can remember so many instances of us, you know, I was a pretty angsty kid in high school, and, you know, us gossiping about other people, or, you know, what it's like to be in high school. And inevitably, Will would eventually chime in on the conversation just to very kindly and gently prod us towards, you know, thinking about like a extremely generous interpretation of whatever actions, you know, someone else's we were dissecting, or, you know, to say something like, oh, well, that person is always so nice to me, so, you know, I think they're great. And every time Olivia and I would be like, oh, Will, stop trying to drag us onto the moral high ground where you spend all of your time. We'll get there eventually, but... and honestly, one of the biggest memories I have from Will and Drew and Cheryl was just thinking in high school, like, man, if I ever end up with a son, I hope to God I have the kind of relationship that Cheryl and Drew and Will had. He loved you so much, and, you know, imagine 16, 17, 18-year-old. Boy, there aren't that many who go out of their way to talk about how much they love and respect their mom, and how hardworking they think she is. It's amazing. I was shocked, devastated when I heard the news. I loved Will so much. Drew, Cheryl, I love you so much. It's great to hear all of these stories about Will in later years. So thank you all for sharing them. Yeah, bye.
Hi. I'm a little overwhelmed. I haven't been here or even at Wright State since I think I graduated, or I haven't seen some of you in forever, and it's kind of overwhelming. I forgot how we're all connected through Will until I saw half of you here today. It's unfortunate that I have to see you all like this, but I wrote some things down on my phone that I'd like to share. It's been a hard week, so just bear with me. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Kayla, and I swore up and down that I would never tell this story, but I think that it would be beneficial for us all if I did, so here we go. I met Will in 2015. We matched on Tinder. And we went on one date, at Chipotle on Zinc Road. You know the one that we all go to at Wright State. He never called me back. I had the world's biggest crush on this man for like 6 weeks, and I went on one date with him. He was incredible, and his girlfriend's my best friend, so I'm sorry, Katie. Years went by after Will didn't want to call me. The last time I was here, I think I was wearing a yellow tutu at Raider-thon as a morale captain in 2017, where I fortunately got to reconnect with Will. We got to reconnect during that time. Years passed, I get a job and I meet Katie. Let me tell you, when it was love at first sight, she is my soul sister, okay? We instantly became friends. One day, Katie told me that she met this man named Will. And I said, oh, that's funny, I know somebody named Will. Turns out it was the same man. What you may not know about Katie is that Katie cuts and colors hair part-time. One time, I'm at Will and Katie's apartment to get my hair cut. I'm sitting there catching up with Will and telling him that I'm married now and how I didn't want a big wedding. I just wanted to elope. Katie then enthusiastically expressed that she wanted a big wedding, and she was so excited to be able to walk down the aisle one day. Most of you know Will as the MC for Raider-thon, a fraternity brother, a son, a sibling, a coworker, or a friend. But that day, when I saw the look on his face as he expressed to me, in detail, how he was going to give Katie the wedding of her dreams one day, that was the first time I saw Will as a boyfriend. Will was everything you could have asked for in a partner in life, and it was easy to see while watching the two of them fall madly in love. I was able to watch him admire and cherish her. He cherished their connection every time the four of us all got together. I had a hard time this week comprehending why God took Will so young. I've been angry that I didn't get more time with him. Sad I didn't get to say goodbye. Confused, heartbroken. But most of all, I've been cherishing the fact that I had the pleasure of knowing someone so genuine as Will. Oh, I can't see my screen. Those of you with glasses understand. I wanted to tell this story today because not only did I get to call him a friend, but I also met Will when he was searching for true love in 2015. This mask is the worst, I'm so sorry. And now I'm saying goodbye to him knowing that he found it. I'm holding on to that because not many people get to say that they found their partner. But on top of everything else Will got to experience, I'm thankful that he got Katie as well. He deserves someone like her. And watching them together has been one of the greatest joys of my life thus far. Two amazing people deserve the world. He was deeply, oh my heavens. He was deeply and truly happy with her. All I ask is that you leave here today and remember his heart was full of love, laughter, and friendship when they were together. Thank you.
what they were saying earlier about all these people here is true. I'm not really the best public speaker, so I'm gonna probably keep this short. But my name is Zach Fachana. I was in another fraternity from Will, but he still treated you just like any other brother. He was fantastic. Most of you might have known me as Zippy back then. But no, ever since I found out about his passing, it's been one thing that's come to mind. There's been parties, there was lots of different things, there were fun stories, but it's really the small thing of every day at the union, when it was during the week, and there's these 3 tables in the cafeteria where a lot of the Greek life would sit, and it was always Will there. You could have been having a bad day, did bad on a test, had issues with the girl, whatever it was. But when you spoke to Will, you were just happy. And all those problems went away, and you just enjoyed that 10 minutes of your day before you had to go on to whatever you had to do the rest of the day. And that's a quality I really wish I could see more, and that's something I'm really gonna miss. And like I said, I don't know much else to say, but I just wanted to get that off my chest because I literally haven't been able to get it off my mind since the moment I found out. And if we can do anything is try and do that for someone else. Just listen to them, make someone's day a little bit better, and who knows how it'll affect them. Anyway, Will was loved by everybody here, and I know everyone here is going to miss him. Have a good day.
I was talking to Will's stepbrother on the phone earlier this week, and I was talking about how big of a place we were going to need for this. And this is, yeah, there's a bunch of people here. My name's Kevin. I swam with Will from 6th, 7th grade all the way on. Had a lot of good times. I spent a lot of time this week talking to everybody I haven't seen in a long time, just about how we were all always together, and about how different it would have been without any of us there, nonetheless Will, and just how infectious he was. One of those things that I think about, and God bless you, Cheryl, for being able to deal with us, when we had our bro fests in your basement, and there were like 20 of us all night just making noise and causing problems. And kind of back to what we were talking about earlier with how Will would always offer his house. It was the same way. It was whenever anybody needed to hang out, Will and Drew both were always there for anybody whenever they needed it. My freshman year here, I was the same grade as Will, and we had kind of split apart a little bit in high school, but I had no idea where anything was here, not a clue. And Will took time out of his day on move-in day to come to the front of the student union with me, and I remember going and seeing Cheryl, and he walked me around the whole campus. Had no idea. The tunnels, one of the coolest things I'd ever seen in my life at the time. Amongst all the other things, and that was just Will. He was willing to take time out of anything he was doing to help anybody else. And I know that just, I've seen a lot of faces, talked to a lot of people here who swam with Will when we were little. We're going to miss him a lot.
So essentially, I knew Will mostly when he lived right around the corner from me in Oakwood. Man, those were good times. And I remember just a lot of great memories. Like, a lot of you don't know me, I'm Italian. I love food. And they always had the greatest snacks at their house. And so this one time, Drew and Will both introduced me to cinnamon raisin bread. You know, that you get from the store that a lot of people don't get. And I remember trying it with cream cheese. They said, Guido, you gotta try this. And I was like, okay. And it was delicious. It was the best. And to this day, I eat it and I think of both Will and Drew. So that's just great. And one story that really stuck with me about Will was that we used to have a bunch of dances back, in like 8th grade, freshman year of high school, just before I left for Atlanta. And I remember I want to be so cool, and I knew Will was the coolest. And so I asked him, hey, you gotta teach me how to dance. And then the next day, I go over to his house and he said, Guido, I learned how to moonwalk for you. And he spent 45 minutes just showing me how to moonwalk. And I was a terrible dancer, so I still never learned. But, just him, taking the 45 minutes just to teach me how to moonwalk and, being over at their house all the time, things like that, just a lot of fond memories. And he showed me how to be, kind. It was during my formative years that I knew him the most, and a lot of his qualities rubbed off on me. And still to this day, I try to live just like he did, and be a great man like he was. And and that's really it. And thank you all for your great stories. They helped me remember who he was. I haven't talked to him in a few years, but we always check in on each other, and I appreciate all the stories. And something that I found peace with was that everyone's saying that he was taken too soon, and he was, but just seeing the amount of people here and knowing that it was just a percentage of the people he had an impact on, he had the impact of a lifetime. Just on everybody, the impact of a lifetime. And his legacy will carry on forever, and he'll be right in here with me always. And I hope for you all too. Thank you.
My name's Tad, Will's cousin. Will was an incredible person. He was always exactly where he needed to be. He always knew exactly what to say. He was everything to everyone. To me, Will was a role model and a mentor and a friend. He was a rock that you could always depend on. His kindness and willingness to help others was boundless. I remember being a little kid, studying a new school. I didn't know anybody. I felt out of place in my hand-me-down clothes. But it was Will who went out of his way to take me under his wing and make me feel like I belonged there. He was like that, always looking out for people. I, like all of you, loved Will. He was the best man I've ever met. And it has been an honor to count myself as his cousin. The gap left in the world by his passing will never be filled. We can, all of us, honor him by striving to emulate his kindness, his compassion, and his strength. You are the best of us, Will. You are dearly missed.
There's only a few people that are going to know me. My name is Shannon. I did not know Will.
I'm here for Bill. I'm so disappointed that I never got to meet him. My children are about a decade younger than Amy and Bill's. So as a parent, watching your teenagers grow up, you take advice. You listen and you pay attention of how they're doing it. When we would get together and I would hear Bill dote and compliment and congratulate his boys on all the accomplishments that they are doing, it gives me inspiration on directions I should take my children. But for me, listening to all of your stories and knowing him, I wish I had a piece of that. Just hearing your stories makes me want to be a better person, to be the inspiration in everybody else's life that's a part of mine. I know he's going to be missed, and I'm going to think of all these stories for forever, knowing in the back of my mind that I should be more like Will. So thank you for sharing. I wasn't gonna do this. I came to Wright State as a grad student, and I met Cheryl. And she made me wish I was a better mom. And then when my oldest son came to college, the same year Will came to college, I knew she was the best mom ever. Because I got to meet her son, and I got to know her son. Will was a blessing to our fraternity and sorority community. I will never forget the little smirk that he would get before he was about to make some good trouble. And the last time I saw the atrium nearly this full, Will was on a stage, dressed in drag, pictures in here somewhere, as the Queen of Hearts, dancing for our lip sync and just sharing his joy. So for me, this week has been particularly hard, not just because I know that so many of you have lost such a great brother and a great friend, but it has been hard because I love Cheryl, and so many people here love you. And you always make me want to be a better mom.
Hi guys, my name is Lulu. I also went to Wright State, but I actually was so grateful to have met Will through work. Prior to joining Greek Life, which was thanks to him, I was a tour guide and he was one of my trainers to show me the university and the campus. And really what I wanted to share today was the person that Will Krueger was, is, and forever will be. Because Will was the kind of person who is the, if it doesn't hurt you, then why not, right? So if it doesn't hurt you, why not get more involved or give it a shot? If it doesn't hurt you, why not connect with more people, get to know them, and see what relationship you can develop? He was the person who, he figured out how to connect, remember, and develop, which is why we have a room filled with people today. Because his authenticity, you know it was real. He was the person who, the friendships that are in this room, They're lifelong friendships because of Will. People in my life, they're forever in my life because of Will. He was my brother, and his door is always open, like Seth was saying. His door was always open to literally any person. And he was just as eager to volunteer for an opportunity as he was to go on a road trip, as he was to have a comfy night on the couch. And he was the person that I would do night drives with. If the world was hard or if the world was fun, it'd be Will that I'd call, and we'd hop in the car and we'd just drive 1 a.m., 2 a.m., it doesn't matter. And Katie, a lot of those times when we were in the car, we were talking about you. He didn't know you yet, but he was talking about his excitement to just be able to fill someone's life with that much love, because he was really ready for you. And he was so excited about you, even if he didn't know you yet. And a lot of those car drives were spent talking about that. He was the person that can pick you back up, right? So, you know, pandemic, before pandemic, bad grade, situations in life, up and down. He had an idea for everything. And I honestly, genuinely believe that this university was graced to have him here. This university became more involved because of Will Krueger. This university became more active, more of a community because of this one person. And it's very magical and powerful to have that kind of capability, right? Maybe that's not the best word to say, because there was just so much more to him. And those moments that we have in our hearts that Will was a part of, I'm just grateful, and I'm grateful to see all of you guys here, because he deserves this and more. He deserves the memories and the moments, the friendships, because he worked hard for them, and he was genuine about them, so love you guys.
So my name is Mark, and I'm sure almost none of you would know me. But I got the chance to work with Will in the past year, and actually all of us did. So if you guys want to introduce your names real quick.
I'm Dave Verdebees, and if you maybe didn't guess, we're from that other university in town that Will graced his presence with.
My name is Leah Lynch. I got to work with him as well.
Tom Weller, also at UDRI, and worked with Will, actually hired Will. One of the things I'd like to say about Will is that he's very, very energetic, probably one of the fastest talkers I know. It was impressive to me. He was always updating me, keeping me up to date. And it wasn't just work stuff. I remember one little story I have, and I'll finish up, but I was talking to him about a little garage project I had going on for a new percussion instrument, and Will was all the time bringing little examples of his 3D printing that he did, and it was very impressive stuff, and I knew he had a better printer than I did. So he offered to print me up some little parts for my little garage project, so he was always willing to help, always willing to engage, so that's the story I have. Thanks.
So, like I said, my name is Leah Lynch, and I worked with Will Krueger. It was a great time. I actually just started something with him that I was sending him emails of cool things that I found online for 3D printing, and the subject line of the email was nerd info for the week. And I only got to send him one, but it was how to make your 3D printer sing. So I was talking to him, and I said, you'll never guess what I figured out. You can change the frequencies of your printer to make it sing any song you want. And he goes, no way, you can make it sing Rocket Man by Elton John. And I said, we can figure it out. So that song plays on our printers now to keep his legacies alive. He's always coming into our meetings and whether he had the time or not to, he's like, this is so interesting, I just want to be a part of this. So that was something that touched me, and I'll remember that from him.
So again, Will, we just feel like we were so lucky that he touched both Wright State and us for a short period of time. Couple of quick stories. When Tom brought Will to my desk to introduce me, it's like, well, okay, I know there's a guy named Will Krueger coming today. I wonder if it's the same one that grew up on Ackerman Boulevard with me and my family and kids. And as soon as I saw his smile, I said, yeah, that's the same Will Krueger I remember as a kid. And the other thing about him, he was in charge of our project management, which he knew, something about, but he just dove right into that and just took that job on. And the guy that we hired to replace him got sick pretty much right when he started. And Will was starting to work with Mark on what he really wanted to do, and that was designing additive manufacturing parts. And I said, Will, I need you to come back for a couple of months and help us get through this project that you started. And it's, he didn't even blink an eye. I said, sure, what do you want me to do? And that's just, you guys know, that's just the kind of person he was. He began his emails, when he wanted a project update, it was in big red font, hey, with an exclamation point. And then he'd go in and, to start asking what he wanted. So what a great way to connect. And I swear after, just 1 year at UDRI, he probably knows more people there than I do after 9 years. It's just how I love to connect with people.
Yeah, like Dave said, obviously he had a great engineering background, and he'd come in with all these 3D printed parts. Every morning, enthusiastic, and he was supposed to come work on the team with me. And so, I, as much as anything, felt bad for him that he still had to do this project management stuff. That's not nearly as fun as engineering, right? Anyways, one day I asked him, though, I'm like, so what do you want to be doing, within our organization, within our team? And he's like, well, it's like, I don't really care what I'm doing so much. I just want to accomplish whatever goals you guys want to do. And that's the way he was. He would jump right in, even things he didn't know anything about, he would figure it out, and he would get it done, and always with kindness. He always had good things to say about everybody. It was great to hear your stories too, to hear the same thing, that he was no different throughout his life, and at UDRI he made those same connections and had that same impact. So we appreciate that opportunity to have had a little bit of a chance to work with them.
I have to pull this down because I'm several inches short of the mark. So. My name is Will Gillen. I always felt like I had a common secret bond with Will. Not a whole lot of dudes with that name, but there's actually several at UDRI. But anytime a new one would come in, I'd be like, man, come with me, I'll show you around. It's like we had this secret bond or something. But finding out after everyone talked, he was like that with everybody. He was just that connected with everybody. That's cool. So over the summer, we had an organizational change at UDRI, and Mark and I got to be team leaders. And I remember sitting in a room with another team lead, and we had all the engineers were picking who got to be on whose team. And I picked my team. A couple of them are up here right now. And there was a bit of a tug of war with Will. I wanted Will on my team. And there was another guy, another technician named Will. I was trying to create the Super Will group. And I lost that battle. He got to go on Mark's team, but that's okay because he was still part of the entire group, and we knew we were going to be able to share his enthusiasm, his contribution to the entire group. I just kind of wanted him on my team. I was being a little selfish, right? But it was cool. He got to contribute. So I don't really have any specific story about Will. What I want to share more is like an image of Will. Where I remember when I would see him at UDRI, and he was coming towards you. It was never like, oh God, here comes that guy. It was always like, oh good, here comes Will. It was always exciting to see him, right? He was always smiling. He was always he had an aura, right? And it was always exciting to see him. And it was almost kind of like, I hope he's coming this way, right? I hope he's coming to talk to me. And he would. He'd come on. He'd talk to me in my cube from time to time. And you never looked at the clock when Will was talking to you. And someone had said it earlier, and I want to repeat what they said. Like, you always got something out of it. He never just wasted your time. He always wanted to tell you something he just learned or something he thought you would be interested in. And so you never looked at the clock, but sometimes after we get done talking, you'd be like, well, I got to get back to work. You look back and like, it's like a half hour had passed, and we were just chatting for a half an hour. And it was cool. It was good because it was always a useful period of time. It was always like, I'm going to get something out of this. I'm going to be better from this conversation when he leaves. And it's more of like a not a specific story about him, but that's just who he was. And it's very inspiring to have somebody like that in your life, even if we only got to share him for a short period of time. So thanks for letting us have him in our lives.
Even shorter. Can you guys hear me? Sorry. So my heart's racing. I'm sweating. I don't like public speaking, but if you guys hear the FaceTime call, Jake Nolan was on the phone, so if he calls back, you might hear the little ring. But I told him, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can get up there. He's like, do it. Will would cheer you on. Damn it. All right. All right, you're right. Here we go. So here I am. My name's Julia, for those of you who don't know. Otherwise known as Sissy, Big Sis, Mom, whatever. When we were in college, I transferred over from Sinclair, and I was a couple years ahead of everybody, and I joined Zeta. We met through Zeta and SIGAP and all of our socials and everything like that, and I can honestly say that he was probably one of our favorite Zeta mans. He wore that title very proud. And I also had the pleasure of getting to know him as like just everyone said, he was our best friend, he was our brother, he was our Will. And we would have late nights and we would talk and hang out and all the typical things. And I guess I should say he always cheered me on, because when I first met my husband, we met at a bar, like a little hangout, actually at a fraternity party, believe it or not. And he was leaving for Okinawa for 2 years because he's in the Marines. And later on, I told Will about him and stuff. He's like, call him up, let's chat. I was like, might scare him a little bit. Call him. So anytime we would hang out, we would FaceTime him, and he got to know Josh through FaceTime, and later on he came to our wedding, and then I had a baby, and then Will was like, I'll take her, I'll hold her, and I brought her over to one of our events here, and Will just walked away with the baby. I was like, bring her back if you want to. It's fine, just don't drop her, He's just walking around, all this pride in his face. He's like, yeah, Sissy had a baby. I was like, all right, okay. Sissy had 3 more babies, and with each one of those kids, Will was just so excited to be an uncle, and I know he was really looking forward to meeting Maddie and being an uncle for Jason and Kelsey, and I know these times have been really rough, especially for them, but I wanted to say one of the many stories about Will is I think we really bonded really well because we're both super fast talkers, and I think he can hear me and I can hear him. We don't have to slow down our brains to listen. We can just pick up really quick, and I probably do that right now, so I'm really sorry, but there is so many instances that we all take those road trips everyone's talking about, and one of them was we went to Collins Lake House, and on that road trip, I don't know if we went to the store or what, and I was like, I kind of want some chocolate milk. He said, let's get some chocolate milk. So he got in the car, he came with me, he got some chocolate milk. But in true Will fashion, we did not get the little ones. Will thought it'd be a good idea to just get a massive gallon. I was like, all right, cool. In the car, he's like, give me some straws. So he just busted that open, he started chugging a gallon of chocolate milk, just hanging out. I was like, all right, give me the pink straw, let's just, here we go, we're gonna drink this chocolate milk. And in that time, he started playing his Nemo playlist. And right after I got the call that he had passed, I was like, oh man, I need to play that playlist. And truth be told, I remember him sitting down at his little coffee table and he was creating that playlist. And I always remember Rocket Man and Classic and all of his favorite Brian songs beyond. I mean, there's a wide range in this playlist, okay? But the common theme between all of them is that when he was making it, I was I had just met Josh, and he'd be like, we were the ones, like he was my one. And I was listening to it today, I was like, every single one of these songs is a love song. And everybody knew Will, he knew that he was ready for the one. And I know that with Katie, as soon as he met her, he texted me, he's like, Sissy, I got someone I want you to meet. I'm like, all right, he's like, when are you be in town next? I'm like, no idea, I'll call you when I get there. And when they met, I still hadn't had a chance to meet her. And I finally came back a couple weeks ago for a wedding, and everything was go, 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 and the kids were all being nuts. And I was like, I started typing to him at least 7 times, like, hey, I'm in town, I'll try to see you, and I never sent the text. And probably one of my biggest regrets, but along with that trip, I would like to point out that a bat flew into the house. And that same trip with and I have the video recording and everything the guys are talking about. Along with that trip, I think, I got a little sidetracked, I had to come back to that story, but when the bat flew into the house, everyone's losing their minds, and they grabbed a broom, and they're just swinging at it, and they're doing everything in their power to get this damn bat out. And meanwhile, all of us were just screaming, like we were freaking out, because this bat's in the house. He's like, just swinging away, he had his Sperry's on, his board shorts, and like no shirt on in true Will fashion, he's just swinging away at it. Eventually we got the bat out. No one, it didn't attack us or anything like that, but it was just, that was a really fun week. And to this day, I'm still terrified of bats. So, thank you, Will, for that. But I know that everyone here calls him brother, friend, son, cousin, just so many titles. But for us, he was obviously little brother, and specifically for me, he was little brother, best friend. He was shark bait. And then I was like, I can't call you shark bait. That's a brother thing. I was like, I'll call you Nemo. And that's why he created Nemo's playlist. And then with true fashion, we got our tequila one day, got our margaritas, we were sitting there watching Disney movies, and I got the idea to give everybody Disney nicknames. And it's very fitting now that I gave him Simba. And I'm like, he was the light. He was the baby that brought life and just brought so much joy to everybody around him. And I'm like, so he's forever Simba. So everyone here, sorry for my rambling, but Will, man, I love you, I miss you, and my kids know you as Simba. They saw actually Lion King, and they're like, hey, Simba. I'm like, no, different Simba. They didn't understand that, and they also knew him as Uncle Will. So for that, I'm very grateful that he got to be Uncle Will, even though it wasn't by blood, but my kids knew him as Uncle Will. So, anyways, love you, Will.
Hi, I'm Katie's sister. If Katie can get up here, I can too. I always knew Will was a really great person. I knew he had lots of friends, but there's a lot of you out here. We were fortunate to count Will as one of our family. As everybody's telling all these stories about how Will was so giving and generous, I keep thinking of one particular story from last October. I have 2 little boys. One is 8, one just turned 5. The 5-year-old always says, I'm Batman. For Halloween, he wanted to be Batman. I got him the costume, and I could not find a Batman mask anywhere. Should be pretty simple, couldn't find one. I was up visiting Katie and Will, and Will goes, hold on, I've got one. And he took off running upstairs. And he comes back down with a Batman mask and says, here, take this to Declan. So he made Batman, and Declan was so excited that Will had given him his Batman mask. And he was part of our family. It was always so lovely to see him, but to know just how many people he really touched. And we're so privileged to get to know him. Thank you.
So we don't want to cut it off, but if there's anybody else that would like to speak, I would encourage you to come up now. We'll make a little line here, 2, 3, 4, however many it is, and then after that we can intermingle, chat, those type of things, and then go from there. So if you want to speak, come up now, and then if not, we can close it up.
Hello. I didn't really prepare anything, so bear with me. My name's Tiffany. I met Will in college. I haven't spoken to Will in a couple of years, so it's been really nice to see everybody here and just hear stories about Will. You think about what a special person he was, and it's just so nice to see that everybody saw that in him and recognized how special he was. I just wanted to share a story about the first time I met Will. I had no idea what I was getting into. I worked with him at Caddy's, so everybody remembers that era. So anyway, I was in the back rolling silverware. I remember seeing Will and just being so intimidated to talk to him. He seemed so cool, like he knew everybody, and I was like, I don't even know how to approach him. Although it's so funny thinking about now, he's like the friendliest person ever. But anyway, he came back and we started talking, and we got into a really deep conversation. And I just remember that so vividly. Later on, he had invited me to his birthday celebration, and I had just never had that kind of interaction with somebody where I had just met them and they extended this invitation to me. So anyway, he just had this kind of personality that you wanted to get to know. You wanted to get to know more of him. So I did something that was very unlike myself and just went to this random celebration for this person that I didn't even know. Will was just very special like that. He had a way of making you feel special. He had a way of making you feel seen or known. I honestly can't find the words to describe him. He just was always a dynamic person from the beginning. You could have a deep conversation with him, or you could have a very playful conversation with him. He was a once-in-a-lifetime person like that. I know we're all losing somebody that was so special to us. So thank you, everybody, for coming out. And thank you for letting me share that.
At the start of the ceremony today, we were talking about how Will was really the master of ceremonies for Raiderthon for so long, and the incredible impact that he left on everyone who he worked with as part of that. But
I think that it's worth emphasizing what Raider-thon was all about, which was for the kids. For everyone who participated in that event, whether it was someone who worked to set it up or someone who was there just to be a part of something bigger, everyone understood that we were all there for the kids who were coming from Dayton Children's, who had uncertain futures, but who we were working to allow for their dreams to become a reality. And Will was more than just the MC on stage. He was a fundamentally good person at his core. And he lived and breathed that FTK, that for the kids idea that we tried so hard to work for. Despite however long the event was, no matter how tired he might have been, he never wavered in his dedication to making sure that every single person who was there, every single person who had the chance to influence, came away better than before they knew him. He made every single person who went to Raider-thon, every single one of those kids feel uniquely important. And he made it so that every single one of them had an individualized experience. I had the chance to see him interacting with those kids for several years, and I can tell you, there was never a more genuine, generous person who was so kind and accepting than Will. And just seeing him interacting with the kids at Raider-thon is one of my lasting memories from college, and is the first thing I will think about when I think of Will. At his core, one of the best people I ever got the chance to meet, and someone who's gone way too soon. We're gonna miss you, buddy.
So in closing, we had this thing in our fraternity. It was a couple variations of it, but words from Will Wednesday, there were a couple of them. So I just imagined like what he would say right now, or what would those words be? And I just see him saying like, hey, there's people in this room you haven't seen in forever. Like go reconnect with them. Like it was just yesterday that you talked to him last. So we're gonna kind of open up here, and you're welcome to walk around, visit, talk to people, that type of thing. And I would just encourage you to go talk to people you haven't talked to, haven't seen in a while. Give someone a hug, one of Will's best hugs. And say hello, because any friend of Will's is a friend of mine. Many friends of Will slept on my couch that I didn't even know. And they're always open to. So go up to somebody, even if their story connected with you, tell them something. And thank you all for coming today. Thank you for sharing your stories. And Will's legacy will live on forever. Thank you.